The sun that spilled over Texas today belied the danger people still face. Days after Hurricane Harvey, at least 39 are dead, and at every turn there's more trouble.
We had heard some popping noise coming from that area, then gray smoke followed by a fire.
Flooding set off small chemical explosions at this plant northeast of Houston. No one can get in to deal with it, and some residents are uneasy.
We're concerned about the fumes and that's going to be if they come up in there and that.
But officials insist the burning peroxides aren't a public threat. To the east in Beaumont, failing water pumps forced patients out of the hospital. Across the flooded state, it's a door-to-door effort to rescue people, and in some cases, finally force them to leave. Stephen D'Souza saw that firsthand in one Houston neighborhood.
Day 6 since Harvey first hit, and for some, it's still a slow, soggy slog. While parts of Houston went back to work today, in this neighborhood, the commute was by boat, raft, kayak, or foot.
Where are you guys heading to?
They're heading home, hoping against hope they can salvage the basics to get through the day.
Get some work clothes for my wife and papers that we need. We didn't plan very well, I guess, you know.
I guess it's hard to when the water's coming, right?
Yeah, and it was coming, and coming, and coming.
Liz Villani managed to retrieve her mother's 2 dogs.
It's really, really bad. I mean, the water is probably maybe a little bit over 5 feet. Yeah, and we were scared to get out of the boat just to get these guys. But it's bad. It's really, really bad.
Among the volunteers helping residents make the journey, 2 brothers from San Antonio. They bought this 5-ton truck earlier this week just so they could come here and lend a helping hand.
Texas pride. I mean, I was trained on these when I was in the Marine Corps, so I felt pretty comfortable driving it, and we couldn't sit around and watch all these folks, so we had to get them out.
We ride along as they go into the worst of it. Even after 2 days with no rain, here it might as well be day 1 of the flood. We've heard a lot about the 2 reservoirs in Houston where they had to do a controlled release of water and a little bit of water overflowed. Well, this neighborhood is right in between both of those reservoirs, and here you can see the result. Inside those apartments are residents who refuse to leave. They're hoping they can outlast the floodwater. Khaled Suleiman was one of them until Morris drove by.
I had no water inside my house. But I mean, look, the water is like 3 feet high. I was running out of supplies, you know. And I had to leave at some point.
Yeah, my leg muscles gone.
Yeah, I know it.
They've made 4 trips and never have a shortage of grateful passengers who, despite the stress, do their best to stay positive.
And we make it through, we'll have a hell of a story to tell, man. We was in history.
This, though, is a story still being written. Chris Brazel is another holdout who finally gave up waiting for the water to recede.
We made it through. There's some people that lost their lives during this, and I mean, that's a traumatic experience, and I wish this on no one.
For some of the volunteers, it's time to move on. Another neighborhood needs their help. Believe it or not, there are still places worse off than this, as the city continues its long, slow journey towards recovery. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, Houston.